You ever just wonder what's coming next in your life? It's a question we've all asked, right? For literally thousands of years, people have looked everywhere for answers. Up at the stars, into the lines on their hands, you name it. Just searching for a little clue about their destiny. Well, today, we're going to crack open an ancient code. It's this incredibly deep system of thought that developed in China to try and answer that exact question. So, that's the big question, isn't it? Can the exact moment you came into this world really hold the blueprint for your entire life? Lots of cultures have tried to figure this out, but ancient China developed this amazingly detailed framework to map it all out. It's this incredible mix of astronomy, philosophy, and just a really close observation of the world around us. So, let's dive in and see how this whole thing got started. And our story begins, like so many do, by looking up at the sky. But here's the thing, way back when, this wasn't about you or me. It was about the fate of entire nations, and it was a tool used only by the most powerful people around. Yeah, in the really early days, like back in the Shang Dynasty, looking to the heavens was basically a part of running the country. The emperor and his whole court truly believed the cosmos were sending them messages about the kingdom's future. So forget trying to figure out your love life. This was about predicting harvests, winning battles, and making sure the dynasty didn't collapse. Big stuff. And this wasn't just a vague idea, It was all written down and formalized. In ancient texts, they actually describe government jobs that were just for interpreting the stars. Seriously, every little shift up there was seen as a sign, like a cosmic memo sent straight to the emperor, letting him know if things were looking good or if disaster was just around the corner. Okay, so looking at the stars was step one. But to really get what those messages meant, ancient thinkers needed a language, a whole system to explain how the universe actually works. And this is what led to some of the biggest, most important ideas in all of Chinese philosophy. First up, yin and yang. I'm sure you've seen the symbol, but the idea behind it is so deep. Think of it like the universe's basic operating system. It's not about good versus evil, it's all about balance. You've got light and dark, hot and cold, active and passive. They're not just opposites, they actually need each other to exist. And the constant push and pull between them, well, that creates basically everything. So if yin and yang is the operating system, then you can think of the 5 elements, or wuxing, as the source code. And we're not just talking about literal wood or water here. They represent these fundamental energies, different phases of change, and types of life force, or qi, that make up everything in the universe. In this view of the world, these are the absolute building blocks of reality. Now, what's really cool is that these elements are never just sitting still. They're in this constant dynamic dance. You have the generation cycle, where one element supports the next, like wood feeds a fire. But to keep everything from going haywire, you also have a restriction cycle, where one element controls another, like water puts out a fire. It's this really elegant system of checks and balances that was believed to run everything from the changing seasons to our own health. So once they had this amazing cosmic map figured out, a totally new and really personal question started to pop up. If everything is just part of these giant cosmic cycles, am I just a puppet on a string? Or do my own choices actually matter? This question kicked off a huge philosophical debate. And right in the middle of this debate, you get this guy, Wang Chong. He was this brilliant and kind of skeptical philosopher during the Han Dynasty. At a time when most people just accepted that your fate was sealed, Wang Chong was like, I'm not so sure. He looked around and saw that things weren't that black and white. Good things happen to bad people and vice versa. Fate seemed way more complicated than just a pre-written script. And this is where he really shook things up. Wang Chong came up with this much more nuanced idea. He basically said, look, maybe we are born with a kind of heavenly fate, a starting point. But, he argued, our own actions, our character, and our personal energy, our qi, can totally change the outcome. He made the case that who you are isn't just fixed, it's something you can work on. And that idea completely opened the door for a system that could look at both a person's preset path and their own unique journey. Okay, so this philosophical shift was huge. It basically set the stage for the final step. All that big impersonal astrology of the state was about to crash right into this new, deeper philosophy of the individual. And what came out of it was a precise, personal system that's still being used today. This is where it all comes together. The first massive breakthrough happens during the Tang Dynasty, thanks to a scholar named Li Sucheng. He took all that theory about the 5 elements in the cosmic cycles, and he figured out a way to analyze the specific energies present at a person's year, month, and day of birth. This was an absolute game changer. It took fortune-telling from being about the kingdom and brought it down to you, the individual. But it wasn't quite perfect yet. There was a piece of the puzzle missing. Zhang's three-part system was a giant leap, for sure, but it was another scholar, Xu Zipeng, who came along a couple of centuries later and perfected it. He realized that to get a really sharp, accurate picture, you needed one more piece of data, the exact hour you were born. And that was the final crucial innovation. And with that one addition, the system we now call Bazi, or the 4 pillars of destiny, was finally born. Bazi literally means 8 characters. Why 8? Because each of those 4 pillars, year, month, day, and hour, is represented by a pair of characters that tell you its specific elemental energy. And those 8 characters together, they form your unique cosmic signature. It's like a snapshot of the entire universe at the exact moment you took your first breath. So how does this all work? Well, each of these 4 pillars is thought to govern a different area and a different time in your life. The year pillar, for instance, connects to your ancestors and your youth. The month pillar has to do with your parents and your career. Now, the day pillar, that's the big one. That represents you, your inner self, and your adult life. And finally, the hour pillar points towards your kids and your later years. The real art of Bazi is figuring out how all the elements in these 4 pillars interact with each other. So after Xu Zipeng put that final piece in place, the 4-pillar system didn't just stick around, it exploded. It wove itself right into the fabric of Chinese culture, and it's been there for over 1,000 years. Let's take a quick look at how it got from there to here. I mean, this timeline really shows you how long this has been around. After Xu Zipeng completed the system in the 10th century, its popularity just took off during the Song dynasty. It became the way people approached fortune-telling, used by everyone from the emperor down to the common farmer. And what's wild is that this 1,000-year-old system is still a living tradition, a really important part of the cultural heritage for so many people in East Asia today. Because at the end of the day, this is so much more than just telling fortunes. Bazi is this really complex system of thought that shows you a unique way of looking at the universe and our little place in it. It's the end product of centuries of stargazing, intense philosophical debate, and that deep, very human desire to find some order and meaning in it all. It's a pretty incredible piece of our shared human story. So, where does that leave us? Is it just superstition, a kind of metaphysical science, or maybe a form of deep cultural wisdom? However you slice it, the story of Bazi is really the story of humanity's nonstop search for meaning. And it makes you wonder, right? What is this ancient quest to find patterns in the chaos? Tell us about our own need to feel like we have a purpose, to feel connected to something bigger than ourselves. Definitely something to think about.